Xianxia flew in the air for a distance before returning to the Myriad Tao City. He still had other friends in the Myriad Tao City, namely Xianxia and the Tai clan elder. Xianxia wanted to find them and tell them everything so they would be on guard. In the afternoon, Xianxia went to a house near the Myriad Tao's divine steel. He entered a large hall and saw Xianxia at the counter. Xianxia had already changed his appearance, and Xianxia could not recognize him either. Right now he was worried that Xianxia was also possessed by the evil demon soul. I can only take the risk. Xianxia came to the counter and immediately transmitted his voice to Xianxia. Elder Tai, it's Xianxia. How have you been recently? Hearing Xianxia's words, Xianxia's face was filled with joy. He nodded at Xianxia and then brought Xianxia to a secret room. Xianxia was also the same. He was extremely worried that Xianxia had been pushed to the top. Xianxia, something big happened recently. I never thought you would dare to come back here. It's too dangerous. Xianxia said with a serious expression. What's the big deal? Xianxia asked. There's something wrong with the 7 Great Villa's upper echelons. Even Taibo and Taibao are not in the right either. Recently, they've always been asking me about you and asking me to find a way to contact you. Xianxia frowned. I don't know what's going on, but I keep having the feeling that the righteous energies in Taibo and Taibao's bodies had already disappeared. Xianxia was originally a leader of the Supreme Ocean Sword sect. The way he cultivated the way of the sword allowed him to wield a body of righteous qi, which was why he could feel that something was amiss in the Eastern Dragon Mountain Villa. Xianxia sighed. He was sure that Taibao and his sister had already suffered. What a pity. If I had discovered them earlier, I might have been able to save them. Xianxia said with some self-blame. What did they discover earlier? Could it be that they're already dead? Xianxia had a lot of trust in Xianxia. When he first came here with the other people, only Xianxia had a good relationship with him. Other than the few people from the Pildao whose locations were unknown, the rest of them had all changed. Xianxia told Xianxia about what happened to Shui Yunxiong after he was carried by the evil demon soul. Upon hearing that, Xianxia was extremely shocked. His face was filled with fear, because his current situation was extremely dangerous. As long as those people needed him, they would take over his body. The 2 elders of the Tai family should have already died. Their souls have already been devoured by the evil spirits. Xianxia said, Old Tai, you should leave this Eastern Dragon Mountain Villa. Right now, this place is extremely dangerous. Anyone with even the slightest of strength would have their bodies devoured. Soon, this Myriad Tao City will be under their control. After all, I am friends with Taibo and Taibao. I want to take revenge for them. If I am certain that they have been killed, then I will destroy their bodies as well and let them die in peace. Xianxia's tone carried grief and indignation. One must have strength in order to take revenge. Taibo and Taibao are already very strong, and now that they have the evil soul's possession, their powers will definitely become even stronger. Xianxia said. Xianxia thought for a bit and also sighed. He was clear about the strength of Taibo and Taibao, and he was indeed not their match at the moment. And this Myriad Tao City could not tolerate him any longer. If he continued, he would become extremely dangerous. Old Tai, come with me to the Myriad Tao Lake outside the city. There's a very safe place there. Xianxia said. He felt that the Flying Dragon Pagoda was a pretty good place. In the Myriad Tao Lake, didn't a strange tower just appear? There are a large number of powerful dragon beasts there. How can they be safe? Xianxia was very confused about this. That tower is called Flying Dragon Pagoda. Although there are many powerful dragon beasts inside, it is much safer than inside. Xianxia said, Once we get there, you'll understand. All right, let's go now. Xianxia found an excuse, then quickly exited the city with Xianxia, heading towards the Flying Dragon Pagoda. On the way, Xianxia told Xianxia about the situation inside the Flying Dragon Pagoda, because he was worried that there was no way to increase his cultivation. Was extremely happy to learn that there was also the Myriad Tao's divine steel in the Flying Dragon Pagoda. When night fell, Xianxia and Xianxia finally arrived at the Flying Dragon Pagoda, and then they went up to the 10th floor. He discovered that aside from the fact that the first floor was extremely dark, all of the 9 floors above had mountains and rivers, and dragon beastess as well. There were many mountains near the 10th floor stairs. When Xianxia and Taishangzhen appeared, the Longhua lion rushed over. "You'll be back in a few days." The Longhua lion looked at Taishangzhen and laughed. "You also brought a friend. You aren't thinking of rushing over right now, are you?" To reach the 100th floor, "I think I'm having some difficulties, but it's hard to say for my friend. He's very strong." Chun Xiang laughed. Taishangzhen was at the peak of the heaven realm, although he had not reached the 3 profound realm. He had only trained in it for a part of its power. "Brother Long, the fellows that came back from the Myriad Tao Mausoleum are really not good people. I almost fell for them." Chun Xiang thanked him sincerely. "Oh, so the last time you heard me. So you have a good relationship with those people," the Longhua lion said. Chun Xiang nodded. "Follow me." The Longhua lion brought Chun Xiang and Taishangzhen to his cave. On the way, Chun Xiang introduced Taishangzhen to the Longhua lion. After entering the cave, Chun Xiang took out some wine, and the 3 of them drank as they talked about the evil soulless. The Longhua lion knew more about the affairs of the Myriad Tao Mausoleum than Chun Xiang and the others. "I think all of you should have guessed it already, that those guys are the eternal evil soul of the Myriad Tao Mausoleum, one of the dangers in the Myriad Tao Mausoleum. If they were to accidentally enter the evil soul's lair and get their bodies taken by them, the consequences would be the same as now." The Longhua lion said, "Usually, this is the case for those who have been imprisoned in the Myriad Tao Mausoleum for many years, to come back." "Then what can I do to see through them?" Taishangzhen asked. "The last time Chun Xiang saw me, he was still extremely cautious of me, and worried that I had been caught red-handed." "Old Tai, didn't you feel that something was wrong with them?" "I just couldn't sense it." Chun Xiang curled his lips. "However, I can only sense it very vaguely. I am simply unable to ascertain it." Taishangzhen shook his head. "It's very rare for anyone to sense that something is amiss with them." The Longhua lion's face revealed a shocked expression. "That kind of evil soul is a very evil thing. If one wants to feel them, one must cultivate their own chi of justice to be able to do so. Of course, that is a method of direct detection. I have a method that can easily see through them with the assistance of some things." The Longhua lion took out 3 pearls and said, "These are righteous law beads. If they are carried with you, the moment that kind of evil soul appears, you can find it through this pearl." Chun Xiang and Taishangzhen took 1 each. "Law of justice. I never thought that there would be such a law." Chun Xiang looked at the law beads carefully and felt the righteous and strange power inside. "The power of justice does not have any killing intent. It is only to dispel the evil thoughts in my heart. There are many dragon beasts here that are born with all kinds of evil chi. I have used these things to tame them, so they are not as savage." The Longhua lion laughed. Chun Xiang sighed. "Right now, I do not know what to do. The Myriad Tao City has already been occupied, and only this tower is safe. Flying Dragon Pagoda has 1,000 floors. There are not only a large number of dragon beasts there are also quite a few people. Those people are all the humans that went up to the tower a long time ago. Because the Flying Dragon Pagoda was sealed, there is no way out, and there are so many people up there. Furthermore, the world inside the tower is no different from the outside, and there are also a lot of resources, so the world above Flying Dragon Pagoda is a pretty good world, always. It will be more dangerous because the humans above often wage war against the dragon beast, and there will always be endless conflicts between humans." Taishangzhen said, "How about this? I will go up to scout first, and after I find out everything, I will come back to bring you up. You should start cultivating here right now." At the peak of Heaven Realm, Taishangzhen felt that he could probably make it to the 100th floor or even higher. After finding out about the situation in the Flying Dragon Pagoda, he planned to train in it for a while and wait for the strong to arrive before heading to Myriad Tao Mausoleum. Even an expert like Shui Yunxiong had been devoured by the evil soul. Although it was said that one had good luck and wouldn't encounter any danger, everyone was worried about what would happen if. After all, the number of people who could return from the Myriad Tao Mausoleum were few. "All right, I will work hard to cultivate during this period of time." Chun Xiang nodded his head. He was still in the Tai Dao realm, so he could cultivate it. As long as he cultivated the spirit of the Tao gods up to its level, he would be able to wield an even stronger power of law and extract a very strong primitive Tao power. After saying that, Xianxia immediately headed to the 11th floor. Although the Longhua Lion were responsible for guarding this place, he would not stop Xianxia from going up. If it was anyone else, he would think of a way to make things difficult for them. Not long from now, more and more people will come up, and those evil souls will quickly find out about the situation in the Flying Dragon Pagoda. Furthermore, after they overturn the Myriad Tao's divine steel, it will very quickly disappear, and at that time they will definitely move over here. The Longhua Lion said as she looked at the gigantic staircase that led up to the 11th floor. The stairs here were very wide, and the door was covered by a black curtain, just like the entrance to Flying Dragon Pagoda. If Shui Yunxiong and the rest were to come here, you would definitely not be able to stop them. They are so powerful. Xianxia said, I think you should go to the 100th floor. With your strength, you won't be able to defend this place. The Longhua Lion sighed. Indeed, my powers are limited now, but I want to pick more outstanding dragon beast seedlings here. Oh right, Brother Long. How many spirit transformation law do you need to make a dragon beast take human form and awaken its consciousness? Xianxia asked. I need 10 law beads, but I can only get 2 now. If I pass through the Myriad Tao's divine steel, I would need 100 million Tao crystal to get one. The Longhua Lion took out 2 law beads. After being refined by Xianxia, each law beads would be able to support 4 pills. Xianxia felt that if he worked even harder, he would not have to worry about 5 pills at the same time. Maybe I can help you refine it, Xianxia said. Oh, refining. The Longhua Lion could be said to know nothing about refining pills. To this day he still could not figure out the profoundness of refining pills. However, he knew that refining pills was something very profound, and he was very impressed with those powerful human alchemists. So he was always a little respectful towards Xianxia. You don't know about this, right? Actually, all these law beads are able to use alchemy to strengthen the power of law inside. After I refine them, each of them will have the same effect as the previous 5. Xianxia laughed. Of course, this is my secret technique, the other alchemists do not. He felt that this ability was simply too terrifying. In this world where there was a huge demand for law beads, to be able to master this ability meant that Xianxia wanted to reach the peak of his abilities in no time. Is that really possible? The Longhua Lion passed the 2 pellets to Xianxia. If it's possible, doesn't that mean that I can open the spirit of a dragon beast with only 2 pellets? Of course it's true. Make a cave for me. I'll go refine it now. Xianxia laughed. The Longhua Lion quickly made a cave for Xianxia to refine the 2 law beads for him. After finishing, Xianxia went into the cave and started refining in half a day's time. When the Longhua Lion took the 2 law beads, it also felt that the power of the law inside the law beads was much stronger than before. Then, it excitedly took the 2 law beads to a giant lion and let it eat them. Did you choose all these dragon beasts? Xianxia looked at the other dragon beast. Most of them were lions or tigers, while the others were all dragon beasts with high attack or defense. There was no dragon ape. Yes, they were all carefully selected by me, and they are also my main goal in nurturing in the future. The Longhua Lion said. There were more than 1,000 of these dragon beasts that he had selected, while tens of thousands of others were brought over by him. The fact that the Longhua Lion could transform into human meant that he was very strong, and the dragon beast were all afraid of him. Xianxia felt that this Longhua Lion had a lot of ambition, and was slowly expanding its power. Not long after, the giant dragon lion that had eaten the 2 law beads had a huge reaction. Its body was shrouded in golden light. There's an effect. He's changing, awakening his spiritual consciousness. The Longhua Lion was very excited. It clenched its fists, and wished that it could hug Xianxia and cheer. Sure enough, after just a little more than an hour, this dragon mage had taken human form. He looked like an honest-looking big guy. Longhua Lion quickly took out some clothes for him to wear, and gave him the name Longhua Kuan. It's a pity that there are only 2 spirit transformation law beads. If only there were more, it would be great. Myriad Tau City has already controlled the Myriad Tau Divine Steel to a dead end, so I can't let them condense spirit transformation law beads at all. The Longhua Lion said with a depressed look. I do have a way. Xianxia replied. I just don't know if I'll succeed. Ever since the Longhua Lion saw that Xianxia had succeeded in refining the law beads, it had started to admire him from head to toe. Although Xianxia was not as strong as it was, this ability was something that he respected. What method? The Longhua Lion trusted Xianxia very much. You should also have the laws of spirit transformation in your body, right? Xianxia asked. Generally speaking, Dragon Beast can only condense the spirit transformation law after cultivating to the 3 profound realm, and then transform into a human, right? Yes. Dragon Beast or other savage beasts will automatically form their own spirit transformation Dao veins when they are in the 3 profound realm and become humans. The Longhua Lion said, after you become a human, you can train with the human body and learn powerful human methods. That way, we beasts can improve more quickly. Good. Then you can try and see if you can extract the power of the law of spirit transformation from your own spirit transformation Dao vein and condense it into a bead. Xianxia said. Previously, he had successfully used Feng Rushua's flight rule beads to cultivate and open his flight channels. However, there was a slight mistake, and that was because Feng Rushua was born with the flight rule, which resulted in him still being able to sense Feng Rushua. On the other hand, believed that the Longhua Lion's spirit transformation Dao vein was cultivated to the Hotian realm, so he did not think that the situation would occur between him and Feng Rushua. Is it really possible? I've tried it before, haven't I? However, I did not succeed because the spirit-transforming law beads that I formed all had some traces that I am unable to be used by others. In the human world, this is also the case. What do you want the Myriad Tau Divine Steel for? The Longhua Lion shook its head. You don't know. After being refined by me, you will be able to use it. I have succeeded before, so try it and you will know. Xianxia laughed. All right. I won't need anything if I want to try. The Longhua Lion immediately went to agglomerate it. Xianxia waited for a whole day, and after that, the Longhua Lion condensed 20 pills for him. Now felt that refining this kind of law beads did not have any harm, because this would give him more experience. In the future, if he wanted to grow even better other than refining pills, he would also need to refine this kind of law beads. Although it was called a law beads, he still saw the law beads as a law pill. The more Xianxia refined, the more proficient he would be. When he refined again in the future, his speed would be much faster, so he was very willing to do this kind of thing. In a day's time, those 20 law beads would be completely refined by him. The most excited people were still the Longhua Lion, which meant that he would be able to create 10 of these heavenly spirit dragon beasts soon. These heavenly spirit dragon beasts were all very strong, especially after transforming into human forms. Their strength had increased by leaps and bounds. In the blink of an eye, Xianxia had been here for a year. Originally, the Longhua Lion had been together with more than 1,000 of them, but now those dragon beasts had all changed into human forms. Xianxia had also broke through to the 3rd level of the Tai Dao realm. He had a lot of Tianhun Gold Danes ingredients at hand, and after being refined with the crash method, their effects had increased many times, which was why he was able to improve so quickly. I can't go on like this. Elder Brother Long, I want to go up now to take a look. Even after a year, there still hasn't been any news for me. Xianxia was a little worried. That's fine too, since you have the ability to become invisible, you should be safe on the way. I'll wait for a few more brothers and then prepare to go to the 100th floor. The Longhua Lion said. Xianxia nodded his head and then climbed the stairs. Over the past year, he had also quietly gone to the Myriad Tau City, because the 2 elders of the Tai clan had said that the Myriad Tau Mausoleum would open its doors, but it was different now because there were many changes in the Myriad Tau Mausoleum. For example, he had asked the group of Evil Soul S to come back earlier, and now the Flying Dragon Pagoda S had appeared. No one knew when the Myriad Tau Mausoleum would open safely again. If he had the strength, he could force his way in, but that would be very dangerous. Xianxia used the counterpower and started to climb up the stairs layer by layer. After passing through the 20th floor, he realized that the stairs had disappeared. When he came up from below, he could always see the stairs at once, but not from here. Since it's so big here, it would take some time to find the stairs. No wonder Tai Bai had been gone for so long. Just searching for the stairs is enough. Chun Xiang had the flight rules, adding that his flying speed was already very fast. He could fly on the 21st floor to search. There was a lot of water on this level, just like a vast ocean. However, there were a lot of islands and there were a lot of dragon beasts on each island. These dragon beasts are not weak. They are at the several levels of Tai Dao realm. Chun Xiang flew across an island at a low altitude. Below him, a dragon tiger was chasing after him, jumping up continuously to bite him. Going to the 100th level, most of them should have already taken human form. Chun Xiang now understood why Longhua Lion wanted to develop their own powers. This was because the Flying Dragon Pagoda was the world of Dragon Beast. Damn it! I finally found it. After flying for an entire day, Chun Xiang finally saw the staircase and remembered its location. He had the law of flight, so it was quite easy to find him. If he didn't have the law of flight, he didn't even dare imagine how long he would have to search for it. He was suddenly worried that Tai Chong would not be able to find the way up because he was trapped inside one of the floors. When he went to the level above, Chun Xiang thought that he was still at the level he had just been on because there was still a lot of water here. This damned place. I wonder if there really is 100 levels. Chun Xiang began his complicated search. Now that he had only gone up 2 floors, he felt like he was going crazy. It was hard to imagine what it would be like to go up to the 100 floors. Thinking of this, Chun Xiang could not help but roar. Calm down, you can't be so impetuous. I'm still all right. If it was anyone else, even if they weren't killed by Dragon Beast, they would have probably gone crazy. Chun Xiang took a deep breath and calmed himself down. Just like this, he used 2 months to finally arrive at the 80th level. After 20 floors, he spent almost all of his time on every floor, searching for the stairs. If I remember correctly, this is the 80th level, and the environment is different. Chun Xiang was on a floor filled with mud. He felt that every floor was a huge world. There was a sky and a moon, and it was difficult to find them in a giant tower. On the lower floors he had encountered water, fire, thunder, gale, snow, rain, etc., a variety of elements, and this was the dirtiest place. I think 80 to 89 people have this kind of character. I have to get out of this suffering as soon as possible. Searching for the floor was originally very boring, and if he were to encounter such a terrible environment, it would cause his mood to become very bad. After 10 days, he finally arrived at the 90th floor. What he did not expect was that there were falling meteorites everywhere. He did not know where they came from, but they kept falling like rain. Chun Xiang had encountered many extremely vile environments on the previous floors, such as many lightning bolts striking, or violent winds and torrential rain, places that were filled with sand. However, that had not affected his flight through the air. Right now, the meteors here were like a torrential rain. They were falling in a dense barrage with a very powerful impact. This made it extremely difficult for him to fly here. As long as he was careful, he would be hit. Meteors of all sizes continued to fall from the sky, and beneath them was a sea. This place did not have islands like the floors below. This was an endless sea. The flaming meteor fell into the sea, causing the sea water to boil and release bursts of fog. This fog rose into the air and gathered together, forming thick clouds in some areas, striking out waves of lightning. In such a harsh environment, Chun Xiang felt a headache. On the previous floors, at least he did not have to worry about not being able to fly. Even if he met with lightning previously, he could still avoid it. This is troublesome. The meteors here are not simple. If we were to be hit by them, it would definitely be painful for a long time. Chun Xiang looked ahead and sighed helplessly. Cloud and sky constellation. Chun Xiang used the cloud sky elephant that he frequently used in his celestial phenomenon art, making himself look like a cloud. Even if he was hit, his body would not be harmed. Although the environment here was bad, Chun Xiang still had a way to deal with it. After using the cloud sky phenomenon, his speed would only increase a lot. I hope that I can find the staircase that leads up to the 100th floor as soon as possible and escape this sea of bitterness. In the past few days, Xianxia had been extremely annoyed, especially when he encountered floors with extremely harsh environments. After using the cloud sky constellation, Xianxia could fly here without worry, searching for the stairs to climb. This place was shrouded in mist. It was impossible to look directly at it with his eyes. So Xianxia could only send out his own consciousness to scout the place out. Previously, he had also frequently used this method to search for the stairs. Due to the harsh environment, Xianxia's flying speed slowed down, causing him to slow down in his search for the stairs. Fortunately, he did not sustain any injuries, so even if he had been searching for a long time, he had nothing to worry about. Damn it! I finally found it! Xianxia searched for 5 whole days before finally finding a staircase that led up from a thick layer of white mist. After entering the upper floor, Xianxia sighed helplessly, because this place was exactly the same as the floor below. He had been here for so long that he had some experience. The distance from the 90th level to the 99th level was certainly about the same. In the blink of an eye, 2 months had passed and Xianxia, who was on the 99th floor, had finally found a staircase that led to the 100th floor. When he saw that staircase, he had the urge to cry. In this phase of the 90th level, the time spent was the same as in the previous layers. We've reached the 100th floor. Don't try to cheat anyone. Xianxia excitedly went up the stairs and stepped into the darkness at the end of the stairs. After entering, a burst of sweet fragrance wafted into his nose. The warm sunlight shone onto his body, making him feel extremely comfortable. He couldn't help but exclaim in admiration. I've finally arrived at a more decent place. Xianxia looked around. Although they were at the top of the stairs, there were no guards. They were all in the forest. After arriving here, Xianxia did not let down his guard. He immediately activated the counterpower to make himself invisible, and at the same time carefully observed his surroundings. Although it was a forest, there were no trees near the staircase. There were weeds everywhere. Xianxia saw a lot of scars on the weeds. Some were left behind by beasts, and some were left behind by humans. It could be seen that some beasts had passed through many trials and had reached this level. What puzzled him was that there were quite a few human footprints here, all of which seemed to have been left behind not long ago. Isn't it just Elder Tai who came up by himself? Why were there traces of so many people? Could it be that he had transformed into a beast? Or did Longhua Lion and the rest arrive here before me? Xianxia calculated the time. From the 10th floor to here, it had only been a few months. He was able to become invisible and had the flight laws. He felt that his speed was much faster than many people, and even if there were many people following him, they would definitely be slower than him. Never mind, I've already come up. Let's leave this damned place first. Xianxia casually flew towards a direction. The environment of the 100 floors was not bad. If there were no dragon beast or something like that, this place could be considered a relatively safe and secluded place. There were beautiful scenery everywhere. Xianxia flew out of the forest. Suddenly he heard the sound of fighting. It was not small. The chi waves produced by the battle were like a storm blowing in his direction. Who's fighting here? From the looks of it, you should be from the heaven realm. Because Xianxia was a stranger to this place, he decided to take a look and see what the people inside the 100 floors of Flying Dragon Pagoda were like. Xianxia flew over and saw the people fighting in the air. It was an old man and a tall and sturdy man. Both of them fighting in close combat. The battle was extremely intense. What made Xianxia feel strange was that although these two were fighting and fighting intensely, they were not fighting to the death, and it seemed more like they were sparring. Who the hell are they? Xianxia was now sure that the person in battle was a human, not a dragon beast. Xianxia watched the battle for an hour before he finally finished. Master, with my current strength, is it possible for me to defeat the head disciple of the Azure Dragon School? The tall and sturdy man asked while wiping his sweat. So these two were master and apprentice. I can't. Azure Dragon School's chief disciple is at the late stage of Heaven Realm, while you're only at the middle stage. Although the thunderstorm law that you cultivate can help you increase your strength by a lot, the other party is at the late stage, so their cultivation is a lot higher than yours. The old man shook his head. Master, is there any way for me to quickly advance to the late stage? The tall and sturdy man hurriedly said. His face was filled with unwillingness. No, the heaven realm is not the Tai Dao realm and Dao God realm. As long as you have enough resources, you can quickly level up. But the heaven realm is different. The heaven realm places a lot of importance on comprehension. The old man shook his head and sighed. Don't be too impatient. This will only lead you astray. Be patient and comprehend the heavenly God technique. The tall and sturdy man clenched his fists and roared towards the sky. I know you hate the head disciple of the Azure Dragon School. After all, he crippled your little brother. The old man patted the brawny man on the shoulder to comfort him. Master, no matter what, I want to participate in the Flying Dragon Association. I want to stake my life on Flying Dragon Association with that fellow. After the tall and sturdy man finished speaking, he rushed in a certain direction. Flying Dragon Association? Xianxia muttered these two words in his heart. It sounded extremely interesting, so he immediately flew over and caught up to the burly middle-aged man. The old man looked at his disciple run away in anger, and could only sigh. His strength was also limited. He was unable to fight against the Azure Dragon School, and could not help his disciple. The helplessness of this master and disciple were seen by Xianxia. Of course he could not help because he was only at the third stage of the Tai Dao realm, far from it. The beefy man came under a big tree. He hit the tree with his fists and broke it with a few blows. This elder brother, why is he so angry? Xianxia revealed his real body and walked over to ask, Who are you? The sturdy man could not help but be shocked when he saw Xianxia suddenly appear. He thought to himself that he was not cautious enough just now, and someone approached him but did not notice. I was just passing by and felt the presence, so I came to take a look. Xianxia had a smile on his face, and his tone was extremely respectful and humble. The muscular man was also an honest man. Seeing that Xianxia was so friendly, he sighed. I am a piece of trash who cannot take revenge for my own brother. I can only come to eat and vent my anger. Little brother Xianxia, how should I address you? Xianxia asked. Yi Chong. The sturdy man laughed at himself. Because of this name, I can always easily allow Yi Chong to move. Xianxia had a good impression of the sturdy man. He looked simple and honest, without any wariness towards outsiders. Big brother Yi, are your targets for revenge very strong? Xianxia asked. He only knew now that it was the head disciple of some Azure Dragon School. He is the chief disciple of the Azure Dragon School, and at such a young age, he is already at the late stage of the heaven realm. Yi Chong's face was filled with anger when he mentioned him. Is the Azure Dragon School very powerful? Xianxia knew nothing about this place. You don't know. Brother, did you come up from below? Yi Chong was a little surprised. I heard that it was the Flying Dragon Pagoda's opening day this time around, and it's not easy to come up from the bottom up in such a short amount of time. But bro, your cultivation isn't strong. The lower floors are very scary, and without a certain level of strength, it's very difficult to get up. I came up with my seniors on the 99th floor and was lost. Then I found my way up by chance. Xianxia sighed. It was as he had guessed. It was very difficult to come here under the three profound realm. He was worried. So that's how it is, no wonder. Yi Chong sat on the ground, leaned against a tree trunk and said, The Azure Dragon School is built by the Azure Dragon clan within the Flying Dragon Pagoda, and is one of the strongest sects. In addition, there are the Vermilion Bird Sect, Profound Marital School Sect, White Tiger Sect, Qilin Sect, and the Phoenix Sect. Xianxia was secretly surprised. These were the 7 great villas outside the Myriad Tau City. He did not know if there was any sort of connection between them during this period of time. In short, the sects in Flying Dragon Pagoda were much stronger than the ones outside. These 7 sects were all established by the beast race. And humans can also join them, of course. There are sects that humans have built themselves. Although there are many that are strong, they are far from being comparable to sects like divine beasts. After all, divine beasts are a force to be reckoned with, and it is already good that our human sects are able to succeed in power. Xianxia never thought that humans could develop so well in the Flying Dragon Pagoda. Brother E, what sector you from? Xianxia asked. Are there any requirements to join these sects? Of course there's a request. This request might be difficult, but it's not easy to fulfill either. Entering those sects requires a fee every year. Yichang's face was filled with displeasure. A year requires 100 million Dao crystals, which are the requirements of the top sects. And the first, second, and third-rate sects that come down are respectively 50 million, 30 million, and 10 million for a year. Xianxia was also shocked by the request. It was extremely difficult. If it was in the Myriad Tao City, many people would have been rejected, and now, he knew that Dao crystal were used, and he still had a few hundred million Dao crystal. We need so many Dao crystal, where are we going to get them? Alright, are there a lot of people in the 7 divine beast sects? Xianxia asked. If there were a lot of people, then wouldn't the 7 sects be extremely rich? The Dao crystal S are mainly going to the other floors to mine. There are 1,000 floors. If we are lucky, we can find a piece of the Dao crystal mine. Then we would be rich. All of the Dao crystal mines here have reserves of tens of billions of dollars. At this time, Yichang was in a much better mood when he mentioned the Flying Dragon Pagoda situation to Xianxia. Xianxia had experienced hundreds of levels from the bottom up, and those floors were all filled with extremely rich Dao Qi. It would not be difficult to nurture a Dao crystal mine, and maybe there were also floors below since every floor was huge, just like a large world. The resources of the Flying Dragon Pagoda could be said to be very plentiful. Yichang continued, I don't have that many Dao crystal S, so I chose a master. My master is also very good to me. My brother's luck is good. The person who took him in as his disciple is Azure Dragon School. So he doesn't need. That way, he can learn the Azure Dragon School's absolute arts inside the Azure Dragon School. There are quite a few people in the Azure Dragon School, and there are quite a few in the 100 floors of the Azure Dragon School. Of course, not all the disciples of Azure Dragon School have to pay a fee. For example, my brother, if you are accepted as a disciple by a true disciple of the Azure Dragon School, you will be exempt from the fee. Is there the Myriad Tao Divine Steel here too? Xianxia asked again. The Azure Dragon School must have received a lot of fees every year, right? If they have Dao Crystal, then wouldn't they be able to get a lot of law beads? That's right, but the Myriad Tao Divine Steel is not fixed here. It will only appear once a month, and once a month it will disappear. Therefore, all sects and families need a lot of resources to investigate the location of the Myriad Tao's Divine Steel. Yichang said, so for the rest of us who haven't joined the big sect, we need more Dao Crystal to buy them. Before, Xianxia had heard the Longhua Lion say that the Myriad Tao's Divine Steel was very special, and that the number of Dao Crystal used inside wouldn't be many. But now that he had come here, the things he said were completely different. It was rather special. It had only appeared after a month, and the location of its appearance could not be determined. This was simply a scam. It would definitely raise the price of the law beads. How many Dao crystal cores does a spatial law beads need? Xianxia mustered the courage to ask as he was mentally prepared. 300 million, Yichang said. Xianxia almost fainted. When he was in Myriad Tao City, the Myriad Tao Divine Steel only required 7 to 8,000 Myriad Tao crystals to condense a spatial law beads. How many pills will be needed to form a Dao Meridian? Xianxia asked again. If 10 of them were to condense it, 300 million per pellet would only be 3 billion. 100 pills. Yichang had shattered Xianxia's beautiful fantasies. Xianxia really wanted to rush down to find the Longhua Lion and beat him up. Previously, the Longhua Lion said that there were very few Dao crystal that had been used up by the Myriad Tao's Divine Steel. Bro, what's wrong with you? Why are you so unhappy? Yichang saw Xianxia's expression and asked inside. Someone told me before that the amount of Dao crystal here would be very little. Where I was previously, I would only need 100 million Dao crystal to buy spatial law beads. Xianxia laughed bitterly. Did that bastard say that? Fucking fart. There are a lot of Dao crystal here and a lot of them have to be consumed. My master has personally used the Dao crystal to go to the Myriad Tao's Divine Steel and condense the Dao crystal. Otherwise, the cost would be around 200 million Dao crystal. Although this was not a good thing for Xianxia, but if he was thinking in a good direction, then this could be said to be a good thing because the fact that he could refine law beads meant that he could sell it for a higher price. Just what kind of existence is this flying dragon pagoda? Each floor is a huge world. Could it be that they exist to train the dragon beast? Xianxia was extremely curious about this. There are currently two ways of saying. The first way is that the flying dragon pagoda is a boat, and once all the worlds are about to be destroyed, all sorts of raw spirit beast would be summoned into the tower. Once the outside world is destroyed and reborn, all the living beings that enter the tower will leave it and become very strong, protecting the world that was reborn outside. Then, read. This is the home of all beasts, the birthplace of all beasts. There are many tunnels that lead to different worlds, and they will constantly transport different kinds of beasts to those worlds to maintain the diversity of the world. No. Xianxia felt that the second kind of legend was more reliable, because in many worlds there were dragons and phoenixes. Bro, you just came here. I'll take you for a walk around here. Yichong laughed. You can stay at my house. My house isn't very luxurious. Don't despise it. Of course I don't mind. Xianxia was also very happy as he followed Yichong to his residence. Originally, Yichong wanted to go down to the ground floor to train, but it was extremely dangerous, so he was stopped by his master at the staircase. Yichong's house was quite far from here. Xianxia followed him for an entire day, and finally arrived at a small town. Yichong's house was located at the side of the town. On the way, Xianxia asked a lot of questions about the 100 floors. He never thought that the flying dragon pagoda was bustling with activity. There were more than 1 billion humans, with tens of thousands of cities of various sizes, and the places where the 7 divine beast sects resided were the most bustling areas. It's hard to imagine such a world inside the flying dragon pagoda. Xianxia had not thought that there would be so many people here, but he did not expect that there would be so many of them. Of course, the flying dragon pagoda has existed for millions of years, and so many humans have entered the flying dragon pagoda. Furthermore, there are the myriad Tao's divine steel and endless resources inside that place. Yichong said, My ancestors lived in a small world. After that small world was destroyed, he was lucky enough to survive, and even opened up a path to divine wasteland. Xianxia was currently in Yichong's house. This was a large house, only a little old, probably left behind by his ancestors. After my younger brother was crippled, it would be difficult for him to recover in the future. Right now, walking is a problem. The head disciple of the Azure Dragon School is also quite cruel. He said that we're all from the same sect, but he actually showed no mercy. Although Yichong was furious, he was mostly feeling helpless. If I had known earlier, I would have stopped him from fighting for the position of chief disciple. Now it's all ruined. Yichong doted on his brother a lot, and his brother's achievements were much higher than his. Otherwise, he wouldn't have had the strength to fight for the position of chief disciple. Where's your brother? Xianxia asked. It's in the Azure Dragon School. His master had been good to him too, and had been left by him in the Azure Dragon School to recuperate. Azure Dragon School's current chief disciple is a very brutal person. Originally, my brother was about to admit defeat, but he didn't give my brother the chance to do so. Xianxia could guess what happened during the competition. You rest for a few days first. I will go with you to the Flying Dragon City, and prepare to start the Flying Dragon Association there. Yichong said, At that time, let's see if we can meet up with my brother. Flying Dragon Association? Xianxia had heard of it before, but at that time, he was eavesdropping, so he did not dare to ask. It's the once-in-100 years grand meeting of the Flying Dragon Pagoda. At that time, the myriad Tao Divine Tablets formation will appear in the Wyvern Square in the middle of the Flying Dragon City. Those myriad Tao Divine Steel only appear once every 100 years, and the number of Tao Crystal that are required is extremely small. That plaza can hold tens of thousands of people to condense law beads at the same time. With my strength, can I go too? Xianxia never thought that there would be such a good thing. He felt that the Longhua Lion saying that the Myriad Tao Divine Steel here required a few Tao crystal ought to refer to the Myriad Tao Divine Tablets formation that had appeared. But before that, I must definitely accumulate a few more Tao crystal. Otherwise, when the time comes, I can obtain a placing, but there won't be many Tao crystal that would go and condense their law beads. Yichong laughed. Your chance is relatively higher because you're a Tai Tao realm cultivator. Although there are 10 stages to the Tai Tao realm, because the condition of your Tao veins is different from that of the celestial sect of wonders, your strength cannot be determined by just your cultivation alone. My heaven realm is not good. The difference of one level is like heaven and earth. Yichong said, at that time, I will just join in the fun to see if I have the chance to take revenge on that bastard. How long until Flying Dragon Association starts? Xianxia asked. Although he had several 100 million Tao crystal in his possession now, it was not much, and he was worried that it would not be enough. 1 more year. Yichong said, time is tight. We will need more than a month to get to the Flying Dragon City. How could it be so far away? This allowed Xianxia to have a clearer understanding of the world inside the dragon's level 100. It was actually so vast and far from being as small as it looked from the outside. Xianxia rested for a few days before hurrying with Yichong to the Flying Dragon City, where there were no dragon beasts along the way. Yichong said that all of the dragon beasts on this floor had long been killed and had gone to another floor to hide, so in order to kill the dragon beast, one had to go to another floor. After more than a month, Xianxia and Yichong finally arrived at the Flying Dragon City. The Flying Dragon City didn't have city walls, but it was an extremely huge city, and there were over 100 million people present. Flying Dragon Association was organized by the people who came down from the 200th floor, and this was to ensure fairness. Xianxia had already been understood the specifics, so the details would be announced when they started. Right now, even if Xianxia was in a hurry to train his Rule Dao line, it would still be useless because he was extremely lacking Tao crystal. If he went to directly buy them, it would be a loss, so he decided to try to see if he could get a placing in the Flying Dragon Association. Brother, you should still be careful here. Although it is forbidden to fight in here, if you have power and influence, they will not have any consequences even if you are beaten up. Instead, you will suffer great misfortune. After Yichong entered the city, he warned Xianxia. Doesn't this mean that it's more dangerous? Seeing that there were no city walls, Xianxia knew that this city was relatively loose. Yes, there is. However, as long as you are careful and do not provoke others, nothing will happen to you. Look, a lot of people are fine here. Yichong laughed. If Xianxia wanted to earn Tao crystal here, he would have to go sell it himself. At that time, it would be impossible for him to not offend others. All right, I have to go to work now. You can take a walk around here. The lodging outside is quite cheap. Yichong's men were very good. They took out a few thousand Tao crystal and gave them to Xianxia. Xianxia didn't accept it. It wasn't easy for Yichong to earn Tao crystal himself. He was too embarrassed to take it. Yichong's work was also manual labor. He was responsible for escorting some people or going to other floors to hunt dragon beast. His cultivation was low, so he did not send Xianxia there. After separating with Yichong, Xianxia looked at the huge city and thought, as long as I don't enter the center of the city, I will not provoke anyone with authority. I just need to earn Tao crystal outside of the city. Xianxia felt that the Tao crystal in his hands right now was still not enough. He had to earn even more before the Flying Dragon Association begins. Only by doing this would he be able to get more law beads. Right now, I can only return to my original job. Xianxia knew how to refine pills, and selling good pills was his forte. He had been investigating the outside world for half a day, and got to know the situation of the cultivators at the bottom level of the city. Although their cultivation were lower, they were still better than him by a little. Most of them were at least Tai Dao Realm level 5, with quite a few at the peak. The people here had a lot more Tao crystal than those in the Myriad Tao City. After all, the Flying Dragon Pagoda possessed a large amount of resources, especially the Tao crystal mine, which was incalculable. There shouldn't be any market for Gumai Dan, so Tianhun Gold Dan can be sold. After all, this is a place to cultivate spirit of the Tao gods. The Tai Dao realm is mainly used to cultivate the spirit of the Tao gods. There are a lot of them here. This was a good thing for Xianxia. The refining speed of his Tianhun Goldan was already very fast, and he, the Yuyao Mountain Villa, was also growing a large amount of medicinal ingredients to refine Tianhun Goldan. Previously, he had refined 30,000 Tianhun Goldan, but now he could sell them. Marketing was a problem, and he did not intend to make a shop to sell them himself. That would be more dangerous. It would be very easy for someone to destroy the shop, and it would also bring about a lot of trouble. He wanted to be like the Myriad Tao City, refining the pills and selling them at the shops, then letting the shops sell them at a higher price. That way, he wouldn't have to look after the shops and sell the pills by himself, and even if he angered the big shops, it would be easy for him to escape. It seems like I can't settle down outside the city. I have to go to a place closer to the center of the city where I can buy as many pills as I want. Xianxia looked at the pill shops outside. They were of a relatively small scale, and the larger ones would not be opened outside, but in the richer and more prosperous regions. After some investigation, Xianxia decided to go to the place further inside the former Flying Dragon City. After half a day, he arrived at the central region. The Flying Dragon City was divided into outer region, middle region, inner region, and center of Flying Dragon City. Amongst them, the center of Flying Dragon City was the peak place, with many of the nobles and officials present in this region, while the inner region was the second tier. The central region was more balanced and belonged to the middle region, with the outer region being the poorest and weakest region. This central region is really different. When Xianxia arrived at the central region, the buildings here looked much more elegant than those in the outer region. The streets were clean and beautiful and were paved with shiny stone slabs. Xianxia asked around and found a pill shop that had a good reputation. Very quickly, he found a shop called Profound Wudan Pavilion. This was opened by the Profound Marital School and was the property of the God-Beast sect. Other than having a good reputation, it also had a certain level of skill. I wonder if this Profound Wudan Pavilion will do business with me? Xianxia arrived at the entrance of the Profound Wudan Pavilion. The Profound Wudan Pavilion was 10 stories tall and had a simple and unadorned stone tower. After entering, Xianxia saw many counters. All sorts of counters had a sign on them saying, "The role of the counter." Xianxia immediately saw the pill purchasing counter. It was also the coldest and most deserted. The person in charge of the counter was a young man, who impatiently rested his chin on his hand and was fiddling with a brush. "Are you here to purchase pills?" Xianxia sat on a stool at the counter and asked softly. When the young man saw that there was a human, he immediately became spirited and smiled to Xianxia. "Yes, yes, look at your goods." Xianxia sized up the young man. He had an extremely good appearance, one of the more handsome type, dressed in exquisite and luxurious clothing, different from the others at the counter. The most important thing was, his cultivation was actually quite strong. It was from the heaven realm. "This pill is called Tianhun Goldan. Do you know how much it is worth?" Xianxia took out a Tianhun Goldan. "Tianhun Goldan? I've never heard of it before." The young man took Xianxia's pellet, sniffed it and carefully looked at it. "Looks like it's not bad. It contains a dense amount of strong soul force, which should be used to strengthen the spirit of the Tao gods. How many of these do you have? I need to eat and see before I can ascertain the effects of this pill. Only then can I name a price. Of course, if you want me to value it, the price I offer is relatively low. If you give me a taste, then I can definitely give you a kind price." The youth said, "Go ahead and eat." Xianxia laughed. "I still have some more." After the young man ate it, he immediately felt the powerful effects of the Tianhun Goldan. His eyes immediately lit up, as he finally had a better understanding of the pill's effects. "How many do you have?" This kind of pill is a new breed, and is much better than the more popular soul-boosting pills, which are priced at 2,500 Tao crystal per pellet. The young man was suddenly very interested in this kind of pill. "Then how many can you buy from me?" Xianxia asked. "Do you have a lot on you?" The young man looked around before asking in a low voice. Xianxia nodded slightly. "Follow me." The young man immediately stood up and walked towards the stairs. Xianxia followed him to a secret meeting room on the 3rd floor. "You should know the reputation of our Profound Wudan Pavilion, so you don't have to worry about I'll screw over you. The young man laughed, then poured some tea for Xianxia. Xianxia took a sip and asked, "Brother, from your clothes, you don't look like an ordinary person. My name is Wu Profound, and I am a disciple of the Profound Marital School. My master is a successor disciple of the Profound Marital School, and can be considered to have a certain status within the Profound Marital School." Wu Profound said, "Originally, I could have stayed in the inner region, but I could not stand the atmosphere there, so I decided to develop here in the central region. At least people here were all respectful to me." This Wu Profound was also the type of person who wanted to become rich with a master who was a true disciple. It showed that his background was not bad. "My name is Xianxia." Xianxia only told him his name. "Brother Wu, can you give me a price now? To be honest, this type of pill is about twice as effective as the Ascending Soul pill. If it's sold in a shop, I think selling the 3,500 Dao crystal should not be a problem. If I were to buy it from you, 3,000 Dao crystal S for one pellet." This was something Xianxia was quite surprised about. When he was in the Myriad Tao City, he had only sold 2,000 Profound practitioners for one pellet. This Wu Profound would definitely sell it to Profound Wudan Pavilion at a higher price, and then the Profound Wudan Pavilion would also sell it to him at a higher price. This way, both Wu Profound and the shop could earn a lot. "Alright, 3,000 pills," Xianxia said. "Then how many pills can you buy now?" Wu Profound was shocked. He felt that he should be the one selling the pills for Xianxia, and Xianxia asking him how much he could eat meant that Xianxia had a lot of pills of this kind. How much do you have?" Wu Profound didn't know why, but he started to become a little nervous. He felt that this person in front of him could make a huge profit out of this. 30,000 pills? Can you eat it?" Xianxia asked. Wu Profound was stunned. 30,000 pills. That was a huge trade for him. "Yes." Wu Profound was startled for a moment, then immediately replied, "Wait for me. I'll be back soon." Wu Profound did not have 9,000 myriad Tao crystals on hand, so he had to gather them. After all, he had a successor disciple master, so he had some reputation. "Look at your Tianhun Gold Dan," Wu Profound said somewhat excitedly. "Here." Xianxia took out a large jade box that was filled with Tianhun Gold Dan. "Here are 3,000 pills. Alright, here are the 9,000 myriad Tao crystals. Count them yourself." Wu Profound felt that Xianxia was trustworthy too, so he gave it to Xianxia first. Xianxia took it and counted it, then nodded his head in satisfaction and handed the other Tianhun Gold Dan over to Wu Profound. "I've been in the Profound Wu Dan Pavilion for more than a year, and I almost couldn't hold on any longer." After Wu Profound pointed it out, he was extremely excited as he sighed. "How much are you planning to sell it to Profound Wu Dan Pavilion?" Xianxia laughed. "This. Speak. Don't feel sorry for me." Xianxia spread his hands. 1,000. Wu Profound scratched his head. "Don't scold me." Xianxia didn't think that Wu Profound would add so much. "So you're saying that you've earned 30 million just by changing hands? That's pretty bad," Xianxia said. "Now that the business has been completed, you have no regrets. Don't blame me." Wu Profound curled his lips. "Right. You won't directly go to Profound Wudan Pavilion next time, right?" Xianxia thought. He felt that he could directly find the Profound Wudan Pavilion, but at that time he would expose himself. "Brother Wu, how about this? I won't look for Profound Wudan Pavilion, only through you. However, you must guarantee that you won't reveal that I will not reveal the Tianhun Gold Dan I refined, and I will let you earn 1,000 Dao Crystal S worth of difference." When Xianxia was in Myriad Tao City, he was always on tenterhooks earning Dao Crystal S, and he had had enough of this kind of crime. "Alright, let's sign a blood contract. How about it?" In order to win over this money tree, Wu Profound was willing to put in a lot of effort. After Xianxia and he signed the blood contract, Wu Profound smiled and said, "Brother Shun, after I pass the task to Profound Wudan Pavilion, I will bring you to the Drunken Fragrance Inn. The beauties over there just arrived." With that, Wu Profound ran out of the hall and waited there speechlessly. When Wu Profound returned, his face was all smiles. He had earned 3,000 myriad Tao crystals with a flip of his hand, and he hadn't even expended much effort. Let's go. I'll treat you. Wu Profound laughed as he pulled Xianxia and walked out of the Profound Wudan pavilion. Xianxia sat inside the horse carriage with him and asked softly, "Is Drunken Fragrance Pavilion that kind of place?" "It's that kind of place. It's fine if you don't do that sort of thing. You just have to go and drink, eat something, and see some beauties." Wu Profound was also very quick-witted. He did not ask Xianxia how so many Tianhun gold dan came from, nor did he ask Xianxia when they would deliver the goods to him. Since Xianxia told him to keep this a secret, he was naturally clear that Xianxia did not wish for others to know too much. Drunken Fragrance Tower was also known as the Wind Moon Country, but when Wu Profound brought Xianxia to the tallest floor, it was also the best place. Inside the private box, there was a beauty playing music and dancing while pouring wine, making it a good place to relax. Xianxia looked out of the window and saw a Yangtze River, which looked like a long dragon coiled around. There were many huge boats on the surface of the river. This is Flying Dragon River. It can connect directly to the center of Flying Dragon City. With our current financial resources, we should be able to survive in the center of Flying Dragon City, but going to that place is meaningless. Wu Profound said. Xianxia looked at the girls in the room and gave them a meaningful glance. Wu Profound immediately understood what Xianxia meant and told the girls to leave. Xianxia wanted to talk about something important with him. "Please speak," Wu Profound immediately said. "Wu Profound, how's your background strength?" Xianxia asked. "If you want to do bigger business, you should understand that you need to have a strong backer, right?" "That's true. After all, when doing big business, it is very easy to suppress others and it will affect the interests of other powers. At that time, conflicts will be inevitable. If there is a strong backer, you don't need to worry." Hearing Xianxia's question, Wu Profound guessed that Xianxia was going to do something even bigger. "Then your backer?" Xianxia asked in a low voice. "My backer is very strong, so you don't need to worry about that. I slapped my chest and guarantee that if something happens, no matter what, I won't drag you into it. After all, I signed a contract with you, right?" Wu Profound said very confidently. "All right, let's do it." Xianxia and Wu Profound downed a bowl of soup and laughed. With the Flying Dragon Association near at hand, you must also want to get more Tao crystal so that you can condense more law beads, right? Aren't you? Wu Profound laughed. "As for me, although I have a backer, my backer only ensures my absolute safety and does not get bullied. However, I cannot provide a large amount of Tao crystal without permission, so I can only rely on myself." "Then do you dare to sell law beads?" Xianxia asked. This was his true goal, to refine and sell law beads that would earn him more. "Oh, I don't quite understand what you mean." Wu Profound thought about it, then shook his head. The law beads could only be sold after they were formed. There were many shops here that were selling them, and the Profound Wudan Pavilion himself was selling them, but there were not many of them. "What kind of law beads is the best-selling law beads?" Xianxia did not explain to Wu Profound, but asked a question. "Fire rule beads can quickly break through to the Tao God realm. Then there is the thunder law beads, which can give people a strong attack." Wu Profound said. "These two are relatively easy to sell, and with a low price, the ones with the greatest demand are the thunder law beads. Because many people were relatively poor when they were at the Tao God realm, they could only afford to buy fire rule beads, and in order to enter the Tai Dao realm, they all first cultivated the fire Dao veins, and after entering the Tai Dao realm, they would be strong enough and earn even more Dao crystal, and then they would be able to buy the thunder law beads." Xianxia nodded. "How many Dao crystal pills?" 300,000 one pellet. The price was relatively high because 100 pills were required to condense a lightning meridian, and that was 3,000 myriad Tao crystals. For Xianxia and Wu Profound, 3,000 myriad Tao crystals might not be a lot, but for the majority of people it was very difficult to earn, and would take at least a few dozen years. "Let's put it this way. After the thunder law beads is refined by me, it can hold 5 pills." Xianxia said, "If you don't believe me, give me a thunder law beads and I will refine it for you." Wu Profound was stunned, and then he took a deep breath. So you're saying that the Tianhun Gold Dan was created by you? Xianxia nodded. Incredible. This is an extremely high level. I had heard that powerful alchemists could do this before, but it would take some time. I never thought that I would meet one. Wu Profound calculated that if Xiang could refine a thunder law beads, then the power of the ancient code inside would be 5 times that of what it was sold for on the market. Then, the price would also be 5 times that, which would be 150 myriad Tau crystals. In other words, buying a thunder law beads would earn him more than 100 myriad Tau crystals. Then how many pills can you refine in a day? Wu Profound asked. He felt that it would take Xiang a lot of time to refine those 30,000 Tianhun Gold Dan. But Xiang had only refined them for a day. Xiang could earn 9,000 myriad Tau crystals by refining his Tianhun Gold Dan in one day, which was more than enough. If he were to refine law beads S, he felt that if he used 10 levels, he would be able to refine 20 of them. According to the benefits of thunder law beads, he would only be able to earn 2,000 myriad Tau crystals. This was not a good deal, so he would not choose the thunder law beads. Refining 2 pellets a day is not a problem. Of course, I'm not talking about the thunder law beads. The other rules are also fine. Xiang snickered. The other rules naturally included rare principle. No matter what kind of law beads Xiang refined, the speed would be the same, so if he could refine more valuable laws, then he would earn even more. Wu Profound was so shocked that the bowl in his hands fell on the table. Can rare principle also do it? Wu Profound asked. That's fine too. Xiang nodded and laughed. The law of space, the law of flight, all these are fine. Wu Profound was dumbstruck. The spatial law beads would sell for 300 million 1 pellet, and 5 would be 5 billion. He would still be able to earn a lot if he sold them for 400 million. He didn't need to sell all of them in one day. It would already be great if he could sell 2 a month. The key now was how he could sell it. Wu Profound finally understood why Xiang was supporting him previously. If he was going to do such a business, it would be impossible for him to not have a strong backing. If I were to really refine it, do you think that this business would be able to be completed? Xiang asked. For now, it's a little difficult. At that time, it will definitely cause a huge uproar. Wu Profound carefully thought about it, then shook his head. If I were a 3 profound realm, that would be more like it. Where's your master? Xiang asked. Can you get him to help? I'm afraid that I will drag you out later. After all, to be able to refine the law beads so quickly, this kind of person will definitely attract attention. Wu Profound sighed helplessly. You don't want to attract attention, and yet want to sell this kind of pill. This is rather difficult. Just sell 2 a month, Xiang said. He still did not tell Wu Profound that he could refine 30,000 Tianhun Gold Dan every day. If he were to give 30,000 pellets of Wu Profound every day, it would attract attention soon enough. After all, his refining skills were simply too heaven-defying. I have an idea, which is to sell it on the black market, Wu Profound said. But the price will be lower. If there is a flight rule beads with 5 times the power of the law, how many do you think can be sold for 1 Tao crystal on the black market? Xiang asked. 1.2 billion isn't a problem. Wu Profound thought for a while, then said, Are you sure you want to do this? Just sell one to me for 1 billion and you'll be able to earn as much as you want. That's if you don't expose me. Xiang said, I am sure I need to do it. If you think it is possible, I will go and buy the flight rule beads right now. Xiang's Tao crystal could buy 2. If he refined them and sold them, he would have 2 billion. This was an incomparably huge temptation. Wu Profound felt that he could sell them at least 1 or 200 million on the black market. Selling 2 pills a month to earn 400 million felt like a dream to him. But now there was such an opportunity right in front of him. As a disciple of the profound marital school, he naturally knew what earning 400 million in a month represented. This was something that many experts of the 3 profound realm were unable to accomplish. All right, I'll do it. Wu Profound had already made up his mind. He had been humiliated in the profound marital school, and now there was a good chance for him to be proud and proud. Let's sign a contract that does not betray each other. Xiang smiled and said, I have some concerns. I ask for your understanding. No problem. Wu Profound readily agreed. He was also worried that he would be tricked by Xianxia. Just like this, Xianxia and Wu Profound signed a blood contract, and then he gave Wu Profound 600 million Dao crystal and told him to buy 2 pellets. Flight rule beads S were relatively easy to sell within the rare principle. If one could fly, it was much more convenient and could even protect one's life. Xianxia had already returned to the Profound Wudan Pavilion with Wu Profound. Wu Profound was also staying there, as it was also a very safe place. I can refine it by dawn. You can have the law beads tomorrow morning. Xianxia entered a secret room. Wu Profound was excited and shocked. He felt that Xianxia was able to refine 2 of these in one night. His pill refining skills were heaven-defying. He was stronger than the old Alchemist S inside the Profound Marital School. He and Xianxia had signed a secret blood contract with each other, so he couldn't speak carelessly about this kind of thing. While the sky was still dark, he went to the black market to ask around. When returned to Profound Wudan Pavilion at daybreak, he had long refined those 2 law beads. He had only used 4 hours at most, which was an extremely easy task for him. When Wu Profound took the 2 law beads and held them in his hands, he could feel the strong power of the ancient code inside them. Previously, he didn't believe that there was 5 times the power of the ancient code inside. But now, he was sure that what Xianxia said was true. I was in the black market last night and I've asked around. This can sell for at least 1.1 billion Dao Crystal S, and some buyers even offered 1.2 billion. However, they have to see the goods first. Wu Profound couldn't help but feel excited when he saw the 2 law beads. This was something that was worth more than 2 billion Dao Crystal. He had never obtained such a precious thing before. I only want 2 billion, you can have the extra. Xianxia had already mentioned it to him before, and they even made a blood contract with each other. He wasn't worried that Wu Profound would run away with the law beads. Although Wu Profound could obtain a lot, but he had a certain level of risk because selling this kind of thing could easily attract attention. If he was not careful and got targeted, as for what the consequences would be, even he himself was not sure. In short, he felt that at most, he would just run back into the Profound Marital School to hide. His master was still very strong. Just wait here for my good news. Wu Profound laughed mischievously, and then, wearing a human skin mask with a very high degree of imitation, he turned himself into a middle-aged man and left the Profound Wudan Pavilion in a soft voice. Xianxia returned to the secret room and refined the Tianhun Gold Dan. I am only at the 3rd level of the Tai Dao realm now. My spirit of the Dao gods is not strong enough, and the Dao energy I release is limited. As long as I have a strong spirit of the Dao gods, I can continuously release that powerful primitive Tao power. Xianxia's primitive Tao power needed a very strong spirit of the Dao gods to support it. If not, he would have to release ordinary Dao energy. Spirit of the Dao gods was the source of his current strength, especially when using rare principle he consumed even more energy. Furthermore, his 10-layered profound gates were all open, and if he did not have enough Dao energy, his opened profound gates would only be wasted. Every time Xianxia finished refining a pellet of Tianhun Gold Dan that had gone through a collision process, he would come out to see if Wu Profound had returned. He waited until midnight before Wu Profound returned. How is it? I'm so worried. Seeing that Wu Profound had returned, Xianxia heaved a sigh of relief. He was worried that Wu Profound would be killed and robbed. It's not too bad. You can count the 2 billion Dao crystal. Wu Profound chuckled. Xianxia took it and looked. There were indeed 2 billion Dao crystal inside, and in just a few days he had already made a profit of this much. How much did you sell? Xianxia nodded his head in satisfaction. 1.2 million and 30 million. Those guys on the black market all have very powerful backgrounds. They could easily sell for more than 1.5 billion. Wu Profound said. After those fellows used some tools to strengthen themselves, they confirmed that this law beads is equal to 5 times the normal amount. Xianxia laughed. We will wait until next month before we sell it. It is easy to attract attention if we sell it every day. It is not a good thing for us. I know. Wu Profound nodded his head. I will go rest first and think about how to spend these Dao crystal. Although Wu Profound wasn't very tired, he had been very agitated these past 2 days. He needed to adjust his condition now. Xiang returned to his room and continued refining his Tianhun Gold Dan. My current limit is only 5 times stronger than before. If I were to raise my strength, I would be able to use the crash method to make even more attacks. After Xiang ate the Tianhun Gold Dan, while the Tianhun Gold Dan refined itself, he controlled the furnace to refine pills. Within a month's time, Xiang had risen to the 6th level of Tai Dao realm. He felt that stepping into the heaven realm at the very beginning of Flying Dragon Association wasn't a problem. In the meantime, he gave 600 million Dao Crystal to Wu Profound and had Wu Profound buy them for him to refine. Because of the transaction from last time, it was very easy for Wu Profound to sell it to the seller in the black market. After eliminating the cost of buying the law beads, Xiang earned another 1.4 billion Dao Crystal. Wu Profound also earned quite a lot. At this time, he was inviting Xiang to Drunken Fragrance in to relax. He had yet to figure out how to use those Dao Crystal. Wu Profound. Do the God-Beast sect of Flying Dragon Pagoda fight frequently? Xiang was from the Divine Beast sect, so he knew more about these things than Yi Chong did before. There won't be any big battles, but small conflicts among some of the disciples are unavoidable. Small fights like this are quite common. Wu Profound said, "Forget about the contradictions that the sects have only seen. Even within the inner sect, there are countless of them. This is also the reason why I do not wish to stay in there." Wu Profound was a disciple of the Profound Marital School, and had a successor disciple as his master. Xiang, you can't be thinking of entering those sects, right? With your own abilities, there's no need to go back in. The only reason I joined the sect was to learn the divine arts and such. Wu Profound said, "Don't go in and look for trouble, it's not good." Wu Profound immediately shook his head. He had experienced it before, so he was using experienced people to advise Xiang. He felt that someone like Xiang, who could easily earn Dao Crystal, would not even need to enter those sects. "I'm just asking." Xiang laughed. "I have met with this kind of place before, so from what you said, I am quite clear about it." Wu Profound said, "Xiang, if I am to cultivate rare principle, can you help me refine some law beads? I will pay you back for your hard work." "Of course you can, but you can't secretly sell it behind my back." Xiang said. "Definitely not. We can sign the contract." After Wu Profound finished speaking, he signed a blood contract with Xiang. "Right. Is there anyone here who cultivates a space Dao vein?" When Xiang was in the Myriad Tao City before, he heard that very few people cultivated spatial Dao veins. Even if they managed to cultivate it, they would only be able to teleport a very short distance. It would require a very large amount of energy and would not be used at all, but the space Dao channels would require a large number of Dao Crystal S to be formed. Xiang wanted to see if this was the case too. Right now, his heart was also at a loss, afraid that even after he cultivates a spatial Dao, it would not be of much use. Very little. There are almost none. How could someone possibly cultivate a useless spatial Dao meridian? Wu Profound shook his head. A long time ago, there was a guy who didn't believe in evil that went to cultivate. In the end, didn't he just cry himself to death? After painstakingly cultivating for so long, he came up with a new Dao meridian, and thought that he could instantly travel through space. Who would have imagined that he was only able to teleport 10 steps or so? But the cost is still enormous. Xiang never thought that the Flying Dragon Pagoda would also be in such a situation. "I probably won't do that because I have a spatial profound door. Furthermore, all of my dimensional profound doors are open, and the spirit of the Dao gods is created using the primitive Tao power. It can provide an extremely strong power that can trigger the spatial laws, so I should be able to teleport a bit further away." Just as Xiang was deep in thought, the drunken fragrance suddenly shook, causing the object on the table to jump. "What's going on? Someone fighting here?" He had quite the guts. "Hurry up and take a look." Wu Profound gloated while laughing.